is Q&A Monday, and I want to apologize for the large thunder and barking that you may hear. My dog is greeting, I think I got a delivery guy or something at the front door. Thank you for joining me. Today is more about terms and understanding, and I've got a machine set up on a table. I wanted to give you guys some visuals today. I don't know that I'm happy with my camera here, so I'm going to come a little closer. There. Today is about frequency, amplitude, GForce. These are all terms that you will see whether you are talking with a vibration machine company, whether you are looking at a study. These are common terms, and there are different ways you can utilize these different factors to obtain different benefits. But bigger isn't always better. More isn't always better. Less isn't always better. So we're gonna talk in detail about what some of these terms mean and how they apply to you and getting the benefits that you're looking for on your plate. I just want to make sure that we are coming through live on the other end. I was a few minutes late getting started here today, guys. I apologize. Yes, I am live on the other end. So I'm going to close up Facebooker and I'm going to come back to you guys here. So frequency, amplitude, GForce, what does it all mean? And sometimes literally it's a very big, very complicated topic. So I'm going to do my best to just put some everyday examples with it to help you better sort of understand why these terms are important. I've been a vibration training specialist in vibration plates, light therapies, massage guns. I've been working with frequency and ways that it heals the body for almost 2 decades now. And vibration plates are what I would refer to as a mechanical stimulus of vibration, in that it mechanically moves you, the user, while you're on it. It's mechanically moving you, in comparison to, let's say, light therapy, where it's a wave of light, or pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. Vibration plates and guns, which are also mechanical therapies, you feel them. You physically have an experience, good or bad, the first time you try a vibration plate, and it is a mechanical stimulus of frequency to your body. It makes it move. Now, frequency in itself is a very big term. Lots of things talk about frequency, but I didn't bring my tachometer with me today. I wasn't going to do a full demonstration, but when something is mechanically moving you, and frequency on a vibration plate, which is the first term we're going to talk about here briefly, is the movement of the plate, or how many, in the scientific terms, frequency is how many times per second the plate is going through one cycle of motion. The reason I say motion is there are different types of movement. I'm going to be proactive and put my coffee on the ground before this thing gets going. So most of you joining me today with a Life Pro machine, your machine is represented in speeds or levels. Frequency is very similar in oscillating on any of the models, but the breakdown or the variety that it's broken down into as far as speeds is going to be in the 60 range on the Rumblex and upwards of 99 on the Wavers and the Minis. When you have this here is called the Hex plate. This is a model being sold on Amazon. It's got the magnetic therapy bumps. It was the lightest and smallest of the plates that I have here right now, so I put it on the table versus a Rumblex, if you get that. Frequency can be measured for my mechanics out there with a digital tachometer. A digital tachometer measures the cycle rotations on your vehicle or the motor, the cycles of a motor. On a vibration plate, each movement, so left, right, left, we're talking about oscillating, is referred to as 1 hertz. On the Hex plate, this has 99 speeds. So on top speed, if you were to crank this all the way up to 99, it's going to, and every machine is completely, I don't say completely different, but there's a range. I would say if I were to give this machine an average, it's going to be in the 14 hertz range. The reason I say 14 hertz, different body types, maybe you're adding some weight. There is sometimes a tendency for a machine with additional mass where the machine is working harder to move that body due to size, or you've added some weight. you might drop down a half, maybe 1 hertz, and that's completely acceptable and normal. The plates that LifePro offers and the vast majority of machines that you see for sale out there are what I would refer to as consumer grade, and the max average is in that 14 to 16 hertz range. It doesn't matter what model you have, they're going to land in that on your top speed setting. Now, frequency is not a language that not everyone is fluent in using in their daily lives. So I want to give you an example. If you were to get onto your machine and you knew nothing about it other than the fact that it was moving, and let's say you were trying to recreate some study where users, there's a bone density one that comes to mind, where users did light loaded exercises, bending their knees, we would know that as a light squat, on the plate at 12 hertz. Now you have frequency converters for each of your machines, but I don't like offering guidance based on specific frequencies or amplitudes, because it's kind of like going to the gym and saying, okay, well, there was some study that 300 Norwegian bodybuilders got stronger when they lifted 250 pounds daily in the afternoons for the course of 3 to 4 weeks. It really still does come down to what factors are going to be beneficial for you personally, your frame, your size. So just like going to the gym, if we were going to go lift weights, and let's say that the best weight that's been found to start losing weight is 15 pounds. Everybody's got to lift 15 pounds. And all my trainers and people lifting weight out there are going, you can't use an exact number. Kind of the point I'm trying to make with machines. What has been studied and what has been proven through users like you and myself for the last 20 years is often at odds. So a lot of times people come into my page, or they'll come into the VIP group here and say, oh, everybody knows that the best frequency for bone density is 40 hertz. Well, I can tell you, first of all, that none of your LifePro plates offer the specs available in that study. That is a different type of machine called a vertical machine. And the frequencies on oscillating machines and the frequencies on vertical machines are very different. Not because one goes faster than another. There is a different value that comes into the equation. My second term, which is amplitude. So frequency is how many times the machine is moving you this way, this way, this way. We'll talk about different movement types here in a bit. But characteristically, the best, top money, all money can spend, oscillating machine on the planet is a machine called a Galileo. It is a medical device. It is German built, and you ain't getting into one for less than about $3,000 to $4,000 US. Some of their plates are capable upwards of the 30 to 35 hertz range, so they're going to be having about twice the energy or the overall GForce. I'm getting to that. That the average consumer plate would be. And I will caution, I own many medical grade plates that are operating in very high G-forces, but I don't want anyone thinking that more G-force or more frequency is just going to give you more results. You're going to want somebody very experienced. Any spooks I have had with vibration plates, as far as people having reactions on them, to the degree it has been limited to higher frequencies. We are stimulating the neurological system on those higher frequencies. And I want to make sure that if you're even considering something like that, you're well-versed and well-seasoned in using a consumer-grade plate, and you are also guided by someone with substantial experience. It's a completely different thing. For the home-grade plates, on the amplitude side, so frequency is the movement. Okay, so we're talking just oscillating right now. For your rumblexes, your waver models, amplitude is how much it moves you each time. So if I were to take a pencil and tape it to the outer edge of this plate and put a piece of paper on the wall and let the pencil make a mark, it's going to land, I haven't tested this model, but usually the wider the plate, the more movement you have. Think like a teeter-totter. The more compact the plate, the shorter the plate, the less amplitude. But you can also adjust amplitude by the position of your feet or hands. For those of you that have watched any of my training sessions, the wider you stand, the more movement you get. I'm going to put the ball on here for a visual. If you don't know this already, when you're on a teeter-totter, which is kind of how these move, The wider you are, the more you move. If you're in the middle, see how my hand isn't like moving at all? But if I move it wider, it's moving more. If I move it out to the edge, it's moving a lot more. So the amount of movement is called amplitude. So GForce, which is the third term, amplitude is measured by manufacturers and people like myself at the outer edge of the plate. You're not standing on this with your foot half on and half off the plate. Usually you're in a little bit. The average machine in today's world is putting out anywhere from about 6 to 9 millimeters of amplitude. So each time you're moving up and down, you are moving that distance. If you're finding on any speed, frequency, whatever you're referring it to, that is too aggressive, it's too strong, in oscillating, and there's a number of reasons I love oscillating, I'll get into that next, is you can control it by bringing your feet closer to the center. Oscillating machines, because of the way they move, offer more amplitude than other movement styles. It's just the way the engineering works. So they have lower frequencies, but they have much higher amplitude values, okay? Another term for that is displacement. On a vertical plate, I have to stop this because it's going to screw up my visual. On a vertical plate, and there's very few true vertical plates. They used to be a much bigger deal in the 90s and the 2000s, but they're very expensive. They're very loud. The better ones were German. Many of you, as these big vertical machines and these big powerful oscillating machines came over from Europe back in the day, they didn't put them into the hands of trainers in North America. No, they didn't give them to your therapist or your doctor's office. They put them into shopping malls and they put them into retail centers because they needed to sell equipment to make a mark in North America. And what happens when you got a very high energy vibration plate and people aren't giving you the most basic of instructions, you're just sort of hopping on and self-serving, you normally have a really poor experience. And it's usually related to the fact that no one tells you to bend your knees a little bit, okay? If you're coming to me from the VIP group, that's kind of a given. But the other thing we commonly do, there's a mentality that we need to stand as wide as possible to get the most benefit. No, you're getting the most movement. On a vertical plate, it's not a harmful thing, but the way that the movement carries up through the body, it doesn't matter how much you bend your knees, you're always going to get a little stimulation in the head and the neck. And consumers didn't like it. They were afraid of it. They didn't have people qualified explaining to them how to position themselves, how to use the settings of the machine to minimize those. And how you minimize the amount of shake or the intensity is the amplitude. So on a vertical machine, the biggest downside is they have very low and very limited amplitude settings. I'm not going to name names, but the best vertical plate being sold in the world right now and widely in North America, probably popping up in your feed. I'm also certified with them. They move straight up and down 40, 50, 60 times a second. A lot of times when you're looking online, you look at that number and you think, oh, it must be better because it's a bigger number. But the movement, the amount of movement, I'm going to go back to pre-2004, when the real vertical machines, the German built all steel, these beast machines were being put in shopping malls. They moved upwards of 4 millimeters on the high setting and 2 millimeters on the low. So there was just a high-low button. It doesn't matter where you positioned your feet or your hands. It didn't affect the intensity. So you kind of either liked it or you didn't. And science aside, research aside, opinions aside, out of 100 people that had the opportunity, let's say, to try the best oscillating and the best vertical machines in the world, 99.5 people preferred the oscillating. It's more natural in how we move. You can control the amplitudes to the millimeter or more intensity. It really depends on the type of position, the type of training you're doing. But for the most part, what happened back in these days with the vertical machines, because the intensity was so strong, many of the manufacturers at that time, then starting to come out of China, watered down the amplitude values. They watered down the displacements to the point where, yes, they felt better and you liked how it felt better, but a lot of the benefits or the intensity of those benefits were lost. You were working with amplitudes of 2 to 4 millimeters. And what happens is that's how far you're moving. That's how far your muscles are having to stretch and react with each movement. So by watering that down, a lot of the therapeutic benefits are still there, but I question a lot of the recent vertical research after 2004. Much of the amplitude out there is now like a half, a mil. The home versions of those plates, even though they're marketing all the same benefits as the big $12,000, $13,000 ones, the amplitude is watered down to the point where you wonder if you're even moving, and it's hard for me to even make a mark with a pencil. That's how little it's moving. So if you were looking into vertical plates also have a ton of research. Oscillating and vertical are the two kind of premier pioneer movements. If you look back at vibration research, which stems back like 5-6 decades, this is not new. But there was always, it was like the Coke versus Pepsi. It's always been oscillating versus vertical, and this is better and that's better. And today, you, the poor consumers, and the people using these machines are trying to decide which is best. When you've got one company, literally, there's many out there that use fear and tell you this is harmful, this is going to hurt you, this is bad. And I'm going to go there because I had a weekend with GForce questions. So the frequency, again, or your speed is how many times you're moving. That's the movement of the plate. The amplitude is the strength, or how much it's moving each time. Always going to be more in oscillating machines with lower frequencies. Vertical machines are going to have more frequency, less amplitude. Before we move into GForce and where that comes in, I've been playing with a visual aid here. So frequency and amplitude. Let's take it away from a vibration machine, and I want you guys to join me in the park. So we're in the park and we're playing catch. And you and I are going to throw this ball back and forth. And we want to see how many times per second we can get this ball back and forth. Okay? So we're going to be throwing this ball back and forth, and we're going to get to a point, let's say it's 10 times a minute. The most times we can get this ball back and forth. How do we make it more? How do I get from 10 to 11 or 12 or 13? Well, there's one of two things that we can do. So I can get like super strong and get big muscles and have more force, but that's not going to happen right now in the park. So how can we get more movements back and forth between each other in a minute? We can step closer towards each other, reduce the distance between us so we're not having to throw that ball as far. Take that back to the vibration plate. For those of you that are standing really, really wide and you're cranking your machine right up to top speed right off the bat to see what it does, you ever felt like you got to fight it, or you're resisting the machine, or you're even sliding around on it, or the plate itself is sliding around? Think of the ball in the park analogy. So your muscles on this machine, depending on your conditioning, depending on your mass, how tall you are, lots and lots of different things. That's where this doesn't become a simple math calculation. It's not just, frequency and amplitude. But the general premise is the frequency you are using, you can't change. You can't throw that ball back and forth faster. But we can reduce the distance. That's your amplitude. So if you're standing really wide, especially if you're really petite, and I don't care if you're fit, this is a new technology that your muscles aren't used to. You have an adaptation period. Your body needs to assimilate. I've been talking too much. So what can you do? What does Debbie say in every single answer that I give you on this page? Bring your feet closer, which means reduce the amplitude, reduce the intensity. So you, depending on the position that you're doing, depending on your sensitivities, maybe you've never exercised in your life, or maybe you work out all the time and you're dealing with a lot of tension and you just need some relaxation. If you feel or instinctively feel like you want to fight or resist the machine, you're not increasing benefits. You are, you need to bring your feet a little bit closer or bring the speed down a little bit. The really, really slow speeds, the really choppy, wobbly ones, they're very destabilizing. They're not kind on joints and new knees and bad backs. You want to reduce the amount of movement, not the speed. And part of the reason I always recommend in my comments to bring it up to a mid-speed range or higher, the faster you get going, the smoother it will be. But you're going to need to bring the feet or the hands closer to reduce the intensity and work back, depending on the position you're on. And that's a good way to manage for those of you that are having that deal with chronic issues where you have good days and bad days. Adjust the feet before you drop the speed. That would be my recommendation, especially starting out. The other analogy that I sort of like to talk about before we get into GForce, because everybody thinks they know what GForce means. So I'm going to get right into an example. And I don't have one, but let's pretend that I had a really fast race car. And I'm in the seat, and I'm getting ready, and I want to see how fast I can get to 0 to 60. All my guys know where I'm going with this. And you hit the gas, and you're like pushed back into the seat. That same feeling you get if you've ever traveled on an airplane at takeoff. You feel like you're like this in your seat, and then, okay, that's G-force. Your body is being exposed to G-force, and it's pressing you forward in the seat. So there are some companies out there that talk very badly about G-force when it comes to vibration machines. I had a question last week about how do I set my machine to 0.4 Gs. If that was you that asked that question, I apologize. I am not making fun, but I love to take these opportunities to explain so everyone else can learn. So let me explain a little bit about gravity, because G-force is gravity force, the force of gravity on your body. When you're like this, can anybody tell me what the force of gravity is right now? Standing on the floor, our relationship with the earth that we stand on, the gravitational pull of the earth, is 1 G. And there's a ton of associated health benefits. Don't take my word for it. Google health benefits of gravity, and you'll be reading for days, weeks. Our cardiovascular system, our lymphatic, everything is very much linked to the gravity of the planet that we live on. And our body builds our muscles and our bone structure based on how we interact with the gravitational pull of the earth. Let me give you an example of how. If all you do is do this all day versus squat, we're not adding any more force. We're just using our own body weight when we're interacting with that 1 G of gravity. This is harder than this. So we know, I bet you if you squatted all day versus stood all day, you'd be a lot more, you'd be tired, but you'd be a lot more fit, right? So obviously all we're doing when we're doing floor-based exercises, body weight exercises, is we're interacting with 1 G of force, which is gravity. This same force is detrimental on our body when we sit all day or when we're in a bed, a hospital bed. The same things that spark and improve our health in interacting with gravity can also be detrimental. Gravity is still pushing down upon us. And if we're sitting at our desk, we're hunched over and we're like this, the effects of gravity can be detrimental. You start getting bad back, sciatic. It's important to get up and move and interact with this. So gravity helps us build our bones and our muscles. And I've said that. And one of the big claims with vibration machines is that they improve bone density. So everybody wants to know what is the perfect frequency or program or setting for bone density. Remember, there's 2 factors here. So G-force is a combination of the frequency and the amplitude that you are using. Doesn't mean more is better. But what a vibration plate in essence is, it superficially increases your exposure to gravity. So if you've spent time looking up the benefits of gravity and all the good benefits that come with that, all a plate does is increase the same benefits that you'd get, but because we're increasing the force of gravity through movement and amplitude and these other things I just talked about, you fatigue faster. The muscles get more action and under more, they make you slightly heavier while you're on them. So yes, you fatigue quickly. Those muscles get a better workout. They're also very low impact. So a lot of times when you can accelerate the effects of dry exercise on the floor, plus with all the circulation and lymph that it's pumping out, you're getting kind of the warm up and the recovery at the same time that you wouldn't have done on the floor. So there's many reasons that these are a plus, but how they increase your exposure to gravity is a combination of the frequency and the amplitude used. So let's say that you're dealing with a bad knee and you're looking for something that can help you recover, deal with the aches and pains, but you're not really ready to take on a lot of intensity as far as wide footment placement. You can play with these two factors. Maybe you're used to working with a lower setting or a lower program, but you've had an injury or a setback. Try ramping it up but reducing the amplitude. You might theoretically be using the exact same GForce, so my math is going to be way off. But not that it exists anywhere ever. But let's say Debbie said, okay, I want you to do a squat at 2 Gs. Well, that might be a high frequency with a closer foot placement, or it might be a low frequency with a wide foot placement. Same math at the end of the day, but two very different experiences, okay? I want to lift weights. Do I want to do, just a few reps with lots of weight, or do I want to do lighter weight with lots of reps? There's different ways that you can manipulate this depending on how you like to work out. A lot of it is preference. And for those of you that are asking the questions about, is 40 hertz the best for bone density, or is it, what's the best program for cancer recovery? That'd be like walking into the gym and saying, what's the best workout for bone density there? You ask 5 different trainers at a gym, what's the best program for bone density? You're going to get 5 completely different answers based on their background and their preferences. Bone density, and this is just one of the benefits I'm going to cover, is about you bearing your weight, you bearing your mass and interacting with gravity, however you want to do it. On the plate, you just interact with more gravity, reducing the amount of time that you'd have to do the same stuff on the floor. And if you're dealing with poor balance and fatigue and pain, this is by far not only more comfortable and tolerable, but it's a little bit fun. It gives you energy. A vibration plate and exposing yourself to gravity doesn't need to be a half-hour ordeal every day. If you work at an occupational environment and you're sitting at a workstation, I think there's occupational guidelines that state you have to stand up and get on your feet for 5 to 10 minutes, get the blood and the lymph moving. Well, the same goes with a vibration machine. If you're just using a vibration plate for the feel good, symptom management, some relaxation, use it whenever you want for a couple of minutes. If you're doing, if you touch your toes to relieve back pain, and you might do 2 or 3 reps of that, 3 times a day, maybe 1 rep on the machine. What setting? Whatever feels good to you. You're still getting the same benefits in a kinder, more beneficial environment. So I need to move on. There's no way this wasn't going to be a little bit complicated, but there's so much fear around GForce. So again, GForce is a combination of 2 numbers. So any companies out there other than LifePro sells both. So your pulsation is going to be a low energy. That's sort of whatever it's, the frequency is that 40 range, but the amplitude, the amount of movement is low. Whereas amplitude on your oscillating is much higher. I hope that makes sense. But there's a couple companies out there that are marketing, as I said to the question I got last week, you need 0.4 Gs. You're reducing the amount of gravity why would you want less gravity than what you would be exposed to when you're on the floor? If you're dealing with a specialized piece of equipment, like the Ultra G treadmill or something where you physically reduce the amount of gravity in a chamber so it's easier on the joints. But the whole premise of a vibration machine is to superficially increase the forces to get all these benefits quicker. So companies that are out there trying to sell you $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 machines, telling it's better because they've got some study. Who did the study? And why is it that every other vibration machine ever invented speaks the opposite? You be careful that you're not being marketed to. And any claims being made, it's hard to lay claim to this because you'd have to be reading 20 years worth of this stuff. But very common even within the research, and I'll call the researchers out, they'll identify the amplitude or the frequency. Oh, we did this at 16 hertz. But what was the amplitude? Where did you put your feet? The average study never talks GForce. The average company never talks GForce unless they have it, ample amount of it, and they're bragging about it, or they lack it and they're trying to talk fear against it. So that's just something I want you to be very cautious of. If you're speaking with a company that's talking negatively about vibration machines, we're all in the same industry here. Does Nike bash Reebok publicly in their ads? No, they're competitors, but they're both running shoes. Okay. There's different styles of movement. They both have equivalent G forces in the consumer grade. Same with the medical grade. It really does boil down to your expertise and how much you're willing to spend. But there's no such thing as a bad vibration machine. There's no such thing as a bad type of vibration. There's only bad information and poor instruction. So the moves, the squats, the push-ups, a vibration plate is just an environment. So whatever you choose to do on it, how it moves, it doesn't matter what the research is or what Debbie says. If you don't like how it feels, you're not going to use it anyways. So I'm going to sort of circle back to oscillating. The reason oscillating, out of 10 machines out there, 9 of them offer oscillating, is it's more preferred. It is the most researched. It is the longest existing, but for a reason. It mimics that natural movement of walking. It's a little less invasive on the head and the upper body once you understand how to properly stand on it. But regardless of what setting you are using on the plate, there is no magic number for any one condition or benefit. It's understanding how to use these two factors for your own benefit and your own tolerances and preferences. For those of you looking at using your machine for fitness, the machine's not going to do all the work. You've got to make sure, if you're looking at substantial weight loss, toning, strength gains, you can't just stand there and go faster and faster and longer and expect to get the benefits. You need to get functional with your exercises, squats and lunges versus just standing. And those types of things, if you're doing them within your range of motion and for your skill set, you will fatigue faster on a machine. All those little micro movements are doing their work. All the fast twitch muscles, all those reactive muscles that we don't condition on a regular basis are engaged when you're on these platforms. They're struggling trying to keep you stable on this thing. So I by far, if you can't tell, recommend and prefer oscillating movement. You can't see behind camera, but I have a wave that puts out about 19 G's of force. I've got another brand that puts out upwards of 17 and a half G's of force. I've had vertical plates that put out 20 G's of force. So if you Google that now, I think somewhere out there it says that the human body can only sustain 7, 8, 9 G's of force. And there are some people, I've been doing this a long time, there are some people out there that have bad things to say about me. How can I expose little 6 and 7 month old kids with cerebral palsy to 20 G's of force? I don't. That just because that's what the machine's capable of doesn't mean you start there. Okay. That being said, a vibration plate is not like that race car. It is not like the airplane. Every day we do this about 10, 15 times where you just plop yourself down in your chair on the sofa. Do you realize that plopping yourself down onto your sofa at a hard surface, even worse, is exposing your spine to about 9, 10 G's of force? If you get into a fight or somebody really upsets you and I'm going to do it to myself, if you slap someone really hard across the face, you're exposing that area locally to 20, 25 G's of force. So it's understanding that when we're exposed to G force, it's not always in the form of that race car or the airplane. On a vibration plate, the G force exposure is not harmful. It's minimal. So the G force, when you're moving up for a split second, and then 2 seconds later, there's a free fall, it forces the muscles to react. And on higher frequency machines, causes them to twitch. So unlike that race car where the G-force is one direction accumulating on your body, on a vibration plate, it sparks a movement, a fast one with lots of G-force, and then a split second later, it's a free fall, negative G's. So you're kind of in that zero gravity feeling when you really get going a while. But it's a completely different thing than when you're exposing your body in those harmful ways that you may sometimes come across on the internet. I had to challenge that too because I thought 9, 10 G's really, isn't that much. And I think someone slapped like 40 G's of force in some dune buggy on some sand field, and he survived. So the human body, its level of conditioning, what you've exposed it to, these are all different factors that lead to a tolerance. And on the average vibration machine out there, I'm going to be conservative and say that there are any words of 1 to 5 G's of force, depending on what combination of frequency and amplitudes that you are playing with. And it doesn't mean that more is better. Change is what changes the body. So if you are using the same settings all the time and you think max speed and wide feet is really the only way to get across the finish line, confuse the body. Drop the speed. Close your eyes when you're doing exercises. Add some weights. Don't expect the machine to do all the work. Adding that added stimulation is certainly going to give you benefit, but it's not about going top speed all the time. Mix it up, confuse those muscles, and make them continually adapt to the factors that you have to play with on your plate. What else did I want to talk about? Comboed and varied. So is there a combo GForce? That's a question I've had. Well, no, not really. If you're using a Rumblex model, the biggest GForce offering is going to be in your oscillating movement. The pulsation, the vertical feeling, that buzz, tickle, I would classify as more therapeutic. There's very minimal amplitudes, but it is a vertical motion. Lateral has a fair bit of GForce. I'm going to say it's somewhere in the middle. It's a fixed amplitude, so you can't do anything with your feet or your settings to reduce the amount that it moves, and you don't have the variety in setting the speeds to the same degree that you do with oscillating. All of my coaching is in oscillating because it is the most functional. It is kind of the foundation of vibration machines. This is the foundational movement. Although I do enjoy using pulsation or adding that in from time to time. Again, it really depends on the user in front of me, what their needs are, what their tolerance are, and give yourself some time just to get used to how it feels and understand and experiment with these different factors. And then once you move forward, instead of saying, well, what's the best exercise for getting big biceps? I think most of us know that's going to be a push-up, but it's the settings and the placement of our hands. And so push-ups are a good example. A lot of my ladies, we just don't have the neck strength and arm strength, and we got all our tension and our purse and our bra. So I find personally for me and a lot of my ladies, I prefer closer hands, less amplitude, and a faster speed versus really, really wide and choppy and slow. I wish I could go work on it.
Live.
Well. Sorry about that. Some major internet connectivity issues there. I don't know if I lost everybody, but I did want to give you guys, hang on a second here. Turn my lights off. I was being blinded. I wanted to give you guys a chance to drill me if you did have questions. As I said, today was fairly complicated and I rambled more than I usually do for just sitting on a chair. But I've been working with these plates for a very long time. And as I said, there's lots and lots of different levels of intensity. But it's important to understand some of the terms to hopefully help you understand how to kind of maneuver and navigate for your own personal preferences with whatever model it is that you're using. I want to give you guys a chance to answer questions. I think this restarted on me. So if you are there and you have questions related to today's topic, frequency, amplitude, and GForce, maybe you've got a study, maybe you heard or read something, certainly now is your opportunity to do that. If you're watching this on a recorded basis and have a question after the fact, tag me at Debbie with a Y. Sometimes if there's lots of comments and conversation, sometimes things can get missed and I don't always get the notifications. So make sure you tag me at Debbie with a Y and I'll do my very best to get back to you on a timely basis. Two things I got to plug before I wrap up. If there are no questions, if you do have a question, please feel free to go ahead and post it now. If you do not have questions, I want to remind you of two very important things. There is a giveaway contest. So up to $5,000 in wellness stuff from Life Pro and some other great, amazing things. So after this gets posted, I will put details on how to access that. Also, the Life Pro review contest is still up and running. If you have purchased a Life Pro product and you have not done a review, any entries that have been made going back to September 1st, 2023 are eligible. So if you have done a review as far back as September 1st, don't worry, you are already entered. If you have reviews that you have not done or never got finished doing that, I'll drop a link to let you know how you can register for that one. There is a giveaway every third Friday. There'll be two winners announced in Amber's Live on the Friday. So stay tuned for that. And again, $5,000 wellness giveaway. I will put some posts in the comments so you guys know how to get to the details on those. If there's no questions, last call. Well, I hope today offered a little bit of insight. If, again, you did have something specific, please let me know. If you have topic ideas or things that you would like any of us to cover, never hesitate to raise some of those suggestions as well. I look forward to seeing you guys next Monday, same time, same place. Don't work too hard. Have a great start to your week. Thanks for joining me, guys.